Gilbert, got to ask you, we see Baylor just absolutely smoke Gonzaga in the final. What was it that led to them to be able to just control the game from start to finish?
I think they wanted it more. We call it dogs. I just think that Baylor had a bunch of dogs on their team, and they just broke away from the typical offense. So you couldn't plan for what they were going to do, and they just took advantages of mismatches. And when you're going into a championship game, you're looking at pieces of paper that tells you what a guy does, and they went out and just played basketball.
Yeah, they were extremely dominant. And both of these teams, Baylor and Gonzaga, came into this final with a very different Final Four experience. We had Baylor just annihilate Houston, but we had Gonzaga go to overtime with UCLA. There was emotion. It was intense. We saw Jalen Suggs hit that buzzer beater that will live on in basketball history. In what way do you think how that game, the Gonzaga game, ended, it influenced maybe how they were prepared or how they approached this final game?
To be honest, I thought that it was going to give them a boost. Coming into the game, I didn't have them winning, but I thought, hitting a big shot, going to overtime, winning it, being the man for, 30-something hours, I thought, they're going to come out with more, spunk than what they did, and, they didn't. And from, jump ball, that game was over.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, they didn't have that spunk. And there were so many memes and GIFs on Twitter that were just body bagging Gonzaga in a way. Why do you think, and maybe how do you think, they were able to go undefeated all season and then just run into a brick wall?
I think if they would have got to play this team earlier in the year when it was scheduled, they probably would have took that loss. I don't think Gonzaga played anyone worthy of championship caliber. So when they ran up against the team that that would have gave them a loss early in the season, they got hit in the mouth. As a team, they're a great team, meaning that everything they do revolves around the team offense. And when you have a Baylor defense that's in you, that's trying to stop everything you're doing. They know your game plan. This was Suggs' chance to show his one-on-one ability. To show that, hey, I can really play, at this level, and, I'm considered a top 3 pick. Let me show you what I can do. And it did not happen. I don't want to say he folded, but, he didn't. He didn't play up to the standard of what the name stands for.
Yeah, so let's go into Jalen Suggs a bit more. We saw him become the hero of the Final Four game, and it was all about Suggs. And then, as you just mentioned, he kind of, I guess, he didn't help himself in that final. He was and is projected as a top 3 pick. In what way do you believe he doesn't have what it takes to be one of those top guys, as you sort of have alluded to?
When you're talking about top 5 changing franchises, what I will be looking for is game changers. If you look at his tournament run, he was probably the 3rd best player on the court every game. UCLA, he wasn't the best player on the court. He wasn't the 2nd best player on the court. Yes, he hits the game winner in overtime, which was the only 3 points he had in overtime. He just didn't seem like a guy who just takes over games. Mm-hmm. I went, especially yesterday, I'm looking, as a top 3 pick, I want to see how you're scoring. And the championship game, I thought you were supposed to leave it all on the floor. You were supposed to say, hey, you know what, coach, these plays aren't working. Let me show you what top 3 does. And, 90% of his points came from scramble, where Baylor didn't get the steal. They almost had the steal. They didn't get the steal.
Right.
and he ended up scrambling, getting a play, getting the and one, hitting the three. Other than that, when it came down to just performing one-on-one, the guys in front of you, take him off the dribble, he had 2 points, in that style. So it was, and then there was one point where he hit a three at 9 minutes and 30 seconds left. He didn't score again till the 1 minute mark when he got the steal. That's 8 minutes of a top 3 player just not being part of an offense. How do you expect to win? So those are the things I look at. Hitting game winners and this and this and the name. I look at the performance, and during this run, he was 3 at best at every game.
Right. It really is amazing how this tournament can help and hurt the careers of so many of these young guys. And for you, what kind of feeling do you have at that final buzzer? I know it's not a good one, but when you've come so close, but you've lost the championship.
It depends on how you're getting your butt whooped. When it comes down to the last 1 minute, 2 minute, and there's that 10-point deficit, and it sets in already. It sets in that you're not going to be a champ. So you can see it on the court. How Gonzaga fell is kind of how we felt. We wasn't really in the game towards the last 5 minutes, so it's reality set in. Those games where it's, buzzer beaters coming down to free throws or made baskets, those are the one that hurt the most. Those are the ones that hurt the most. Just like, Arizona's women team lost. Yeah. That hurts. Those are the ones that hurt you all summer. The way Gonzaga lost, that doesn't hurt. That's not a hurt feeling.
Right. It's a difference of sort of a slow, painful death versus one that's just like very shocking. And for Arizona, a 1 point difference in the final there. And the Arizona women's basketball team was sort of this sweetheart team. Like everyone really got rallied around them, especially after how they did in the Final Four. As a University of Arizona alum, seeing what they've done, even though they didn't win, what do you think it means for the program going forward?
I thought what they did was amazing. Because if you'd have known the history of Stanford and them, this was an easy championship for Stanford. I mean, the 2 games during regular play, Stanford beat them by 20 every game. So it was a blowout. So to see the girls fight that whole game, and they had the last possession to win it. You couldn't ask for a better ending for them to say, hey, listen, we're down 1. We have the ball. This is our chance to win or lose it. It's not like we got beat from start to finish. We had a chance to win or lose this game. You can live with that. I mean, it hurts, but you can live with it. You win out with with best case scenario.
Well,
for going up against some team that just used to beat the hell out of you during regular season.
Well, salient words on life and basketball and the roller coaster that both of them are on from, of course, our teammate here at Fubo Sports, Gilbert Arenas, 3-time All-NBA, host of No Chill with Gilbert Arenas. Thanks so much for joining us here on Happy Hour.